This is the story of the deliverer of the Israelites, the messenger of God. During a great famine, the descendants of Abraham, the Israelis, settled in Egypt. Over the next 400 years, they were enslaved. As their numbers grew, Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, feared they might rebel, so he ordered all new Hebrews boys to be drowned in the Nile. However, Pharaoh's daughter found a Hebrew baby and adopted him. Raised in the Egyptian royal palace alongside his uncle, the future Pharaoh, the child was named Moses. As Moses grew older, his inner turmoil surfaced. One day, he witnessed an Egyptian soldier brutally beating a Hebrew slave. In a fit of rage, Moses killed the soldier. When Pharaoh learned of this, he ordered Moses' capture, but Moses fled before he could be caught. Wandering eastward, Moses arrived in Midian, an unfamiliar land where he was a stranger, no longer an Egyptian prince, nor yet the prophet destined to free the Israelis. Moses found refuge among a nomadic herding tribe near Mount Sinai. The tribe's leader and priest, Jethro, welcomed him, and Jethro's daughter, Zipporah, aided Moses. Jethro was a priest of Midian, a people who believed in multiple gods but worshipped one supreme deity. He employed Moses as the shepherd, once a prince of Egypt. Moses now lived as an unknown herder. One day, while tending sheep in the Midianite desert, he heard a voice, "Show them the way." Over time, Moses married Zipporah and they started a family in Midian, raising two sons, Gershom and Elzear. The name of their first son, Gershom, held deep significance. It meant a stranger in a foreign land. Moses felt he belonged neither to Egypt nor to Midian. Years passed and the Pharaoh died. His son, Moses' uncle, took the throne, becoming the new ruler of the Egypt, the most powerful of his era. He launched military campaigns across Syria, Palestine, and even into Beirut, Lebanon. Ruthless and cruel, he eliminated all who challenged his empire, showing no mercy to his enemies. Yet the greatest threat to his regime was not from outside his kingdom, but from within. A shepherd in a Midian, his own nephew, Moses. Once again, Moses heard the voice from the mountain, "Show them the way." He told Zipporah he had seen a sign and must ascend the mountain. This journey symbolized how God calls people in different ways, sometimes through struggle, sometimes by asking them to leave behind their comfort. Atop the mountain, Moses saw a bush engulfed in flames, yet not consumed. From the fire, a voice spoke. Moses asked, "Who are you?" The voice responded, "I am who I am. I am the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. I am the God of Israel, the God of all things. And you, Moses, are my messenger." God commanded Moses to return to Egypt to lead the Hebrews out of bondage and to demand their freedom from the Pharaoh. Moses hesitated. Pharaoh will never listen. He will never set them free. God reassured him, "He will resist and I will punish him." Still unsure, Moses protested, "I am no leader. I am not a good speaker." God replied, "Your brother Aaron will speak for you." Moses was astonished. "My brother?" God answered, "Yes, go to Egypt. Tell the Hebrews that I have sent you. Reveal my name, and they will know you speak for me." Moses objected once more. "I am not worthy, the right person for this. I am not at all worthy for this." God responded firmly, "I have chosen you, Moses. Descending the mountain, Moses told Zipporah, I have seen God, and we must leave for Egypt. God had assured him that those who sought his life were now dead. With his family, Moses set out for Egypt. In the desert, Moses reunited with his brother Aaron in Goshen. Aaron revealed that he had received a vision. A voice had told him to come, and he would meet his long lost brother. Moses was shocked. How do you know who I am? Aaron replied, I have known you since childhood. I am Aaron, son of Amram, a Hebrew. I am your older brother. Confused, Moses asked, I am a Hebrew? Aaron recounted their history. Pharaoh had once feared the growing number of Hebrews and ordered the massacre of all newborn boys. Before the killing begins, Moses, you were not born. Two Hebrew midwives, Shipra and Puah, risked their life by defying Pharaoh's order and saving Hebrew children. Their mother, Jocheb, hid Moses for 3 months, but as Egyptian soldiers raided homes, she made the painful decision to place him in a basket and set him afloat on the Nile, praying that someone kind would find and protect him. That was you, Moses. We all are trying to protect you. Pharaoh's daughter Bithia discovered the basket and recognized the baby as Hebrew, but she saw him as a gift from the gods and named him Moses, drawn from the water. Moses, now understanding his true heritage, returned to Goshen and met his mother and sister Miriam. Aaron gathered the Hebrew elders and introduced Moses. This is my brother. He is not one of the Egyptians, he is one of us. Our God, the God of Abraham, has sent him to free us. Skeptical, the Hebrew leader Dathan asked, how do we know God sent you? Miriam suggested consulting an elder, Sarah, the daughter of Beth Ashir, who knew the sacred name of the god. If Moses could say it, they would know he had truly spoken with the god. Moses whispered the name to Sarah, and she gasped, Ah, he know the name, the word of the deliverance. He is the one. He is our Redeemer, God's chosen prophet. The people surrounded Moses, asking eagerly, Is it true? Has our God returned? Tell us about him. Moses replied, He is the same God who saved Joseph when his brother betrayed him, the same God who swore to Abraham that his people would always belong to him. Someone asked, Was it Abraham who wrestled with the God? Moses answered, No, that was Jacob, Joseph's father. He fought with God all night and refused to let go until he received a blessing. God renamed him Israel, he who struggles with the God, he who belongs to the God. The people now convinced and rejoiced. Then they asked more questions from Moses. What does our motherland look like? Is it true that there was a great flood? And what about the animals? Moses laughs and says, Yes, there was a great flood, and the man who saved us from it was named Noah. He built an ark, and the flood lasted for 40 days and 40 nights. Then another person asks, How was this world created? Moses replies, Our God created it in just 6 days. And then Moses talk about Adam and Eve, Noah, Isaac and Ismail, Jacob and Esau. He speaks for a man who flees from Egypt as a fugitive and returns as a prophet. The next day, Moses and Aaron approached Pharaoh. Let my people go, Moses declared. The grand occasion of Pharaoh's son's 18th birthday. Pharaoh mocked him. Why would you, a prince of Egypt, choose to be a common man? Moses responded, Because freedom is worth more than anything. My God commands it. Pharaoh demanded proof of this God's power. Moses cast down his staff and it transformed into a serpent. The Egyptian magicians tried to replicate the feat, but their snakes were devoured by Moses' serpent. Yet Pharaoh remained defiant. He refused to free the Israelis and instead increased their suffering. Moses cried out to God, I did as you commanded, and now their suffering is even greater. God reassured him, have faith, Moses. Tomorrow meet Pharaoh by the Nile. Use your staff and trust in me. Bring Aaron with you. The next Moses, do as the God commanded. The next morning, Moses and Aaron confronted Pharaoh at the Nile. Moses warned, if you refuse, see what my God can do. He raised his staff over the river, and the Nile water turned to blood. Pharaoh watched in horror, but this was only the beginning. God's judgment had begun. Pharaoh says they will drink wine until water is available again, and they will like it even more. When Pharaoh went to the palace, bathhouse to bath, all the water turned into blood. This was the first plague of Egypt. All the Egyptians dug near the river to find drinking water because they could not drink from the Nile. Even Pharaoh himself could not drink water for 7 days. A new power had arrived in Egypt, and the older power was desperate to understand its capabilities. Pharaoh summoned Moses and said, you have poisoned my river. My magicians can perform such simple tricks too. You have disrupted my empire economy, and for this you will be punished. From now on, you will work for me like the rest of the Hebrews, as you say that you are one of them. God punished Pharaoh for his arrogant behavior. He sent the second plague upon Egypt. Frogs filled every place. They were in houses, fields, shops, roads, and even in the cooking pots. Pharaoh's magicians were also able to replicate these first two plagues, but they could not reverse them. They could create the chaos, but they could not restore order. Only the God of the Hebrews could bring the order. Pharaoh called Moses and Aaron and said, pray to your God to remove the frogs from me and my people, and I will allow your people to go and offer sacrifices to him. Moses replied, it shall be done, so that you may understand that there is no one like our God. The frogs died in houses, fields, and courtyards. Their bodies were gathered into piles and removed from the Egypt. However, when Pharaoh saw that everything was returning to normal, he refused to keep his promise and ignored what God had commanded him to do. But soon the situation changed again. God told Moses that he would send swarms of flies. Dense swarms of flies entered Pharaoh's palace and spread terror throughout Egypt. Pharaoh turned to the Egyptian gods and said, my magicians can't create swarms of flies. I am troubled. He has greater power than us. I do not understand what to do. The gods of Egypt says to Pharaoh, you are a true ruler. The Hebrew have only one God. He speak only through one man. Separate that man from his people. Create distrust for him among his people. He is not truly one of them anyway. Pharaoh summons Moses to the royal palace and says, your magic has defeated me. I am troubled by it. Tell me, what do you want? Moses replies, I have already told you, let us go into the desert. We only need 3 days to offer sacrifices to our God. Pharaoh says, I cannot give you 3 days, only 2. Go for 2 days and return. The next day, as Moses and his people set out for the desert, Pharaoh's soldier arrived and said, if someone told you that you have today and tomorrow off to offer sacrifices, it was a lie. Pharaoh never granted such permission. Moses protested, and Pharaoh's soldier began beating him. Moses goes to the Pharaoh and says, I trusted you and you deceived me. God will punish you for this. Then the third plague spread through Egypt, and all Egyptian livestock died, except those belonging to the Hebrews. Despite these miracles and signs, Pharaoh continues to consider himself a great God and ignores them. Then God sent a hailstorm. Since Egypt became a nation, such large and heavy hailstones had never fallen. The hailstorms caused widespread devastation. No one was spared except for the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel lived. There is no hail fell. Once again, Moses goes to meet Pharaoh in the royal palace and says, "My God will not relent until our demands are met." Pharaoh replies, "Tell your God to stop the hailstorm and then we will talk." Moses stops the hailstorm. Pharaoh says, "You have proven that you are under God's protection. I will allow your people to go into the desert and offer sacrifices. But traveling in the desert all day is not suitable for the children. Leave your children in Egypt." Moses says, "Our children will go with us. This is God's command." Pharaoh refuses once again and says, "Our grains will last 7 years. We are the greatest farmers in the world. We will endure." Moses says, "I ask you to let us go willingly, or a swarm of grasshoppers will devour your entire harvest. For the sake of your people, listen." Then the fourth plague strikes Egypt. God sent winds from the east for an entire day and night, bringing a swarm of grasshoppers that consume all the Egypt's crop. Nothing green is left after the grasshoppers' invasion, yet Pharaoh refuses to submit. Darkness spread across Egypt for 3 days. No one sees one another and no one eats. Once more, Moses meets Pharaoh. "You will let us take our children and elders with us. You will let us go to offer sacrifices." "No more tricks, Pharaoh." Pharaoh says, "Why don't you just admit that you are not going to offer sacrifices? You are running away from your greatest God. You want to deceive your God and me." Moses replies, "It is true that we will not return. We have been under your rule for too long, Pharaoh. Now let my people go." Pharaoh, enraged, orders Moses to leave. That evening, God speaks to Moses in the form of a light and says, "Tonight is different from all other nights. Tonight, every firstborn in Egypt, whether Pharaoh's child or a poor man's child, will die." Moses asks, "What about the Hebrews?" God replies, "Listen carefully. Every Hebrew family must eat a scared sacrificed lamb with bitter herbs and unleavened bread, for there is no time. Take the lamb's blood and mark your homes, so that I may recognize them and spare you from my wrath." Then the 10th and the final plague began, the death of all firstborns in Egypt. The entire land is drowned in tears, as no household remains untouched by death. Pharaoh, in grief, rushes to Goshen to meet Moses. In exchange for his son's life, he grants the Hebrew permission to leave Egypt without any conditions. Now everything happens quickly. They are no longer slaves to time. Time is now theirs. As Moses leads the Hebrew out of Egypt, the Egyptian princess Bethia joins them, everyone except Moses as their prophet. When Pharaoh realizes that his son is gone, his heart fills with sorrow. He orders his army to chase after the Israelis. Aaron says, "Canaan is in the north." Moses replies, "We will pass through Philistine territory. They may attack us." Aaron says, "Then we must fight. It is the only way." The Hebrew begin their journey toward the promised land through the desert. A storm approaches. Moses says, "Aaron, God is showing us the way." Aaron warns, "It is dangerous. We would need thousands of ships to cross the sea." But Moses insists, "This is God's signs. We will go this way." And they march toward the Red Sea. By the day, God guides them as a pillar of cloud. By night, He appears as a pillar of fire to light their path so they can travel all hours. The Egyptians chase after them. Pharaoh's chariot, horsemen, and army catch up as the Israelis camp by the sea near Pi Hahiroth across from Baal Zebulun. One side holds Pharaoh's army, the other side the Red Sea. God unleashes his wrath on Pharaoh's soldiers, paralyzing them. That night, Moses stands at the shore and asks God why he brought them here. God answers, "Stretch your staff toward the sea, Moses." God sent a strong east wind throughout the night, parting the Red Sea into two walls of water. By morning, a path opens for the Israelis and they cross safely. Pharaoh orders his men to pursue them. As soon as the last Israeli crosses, Moses raises his staff again, the sea closing in, drowning Pharaoh, his chariot, and his soldier in the great river. Moses, like Noah, saved his people. A new beginning start for the Israelis. Moses leads them beyond the Dead Sea and into the wilderness of Shur Desert. For 3 days they walk without finding water. Moses prays, "My people are hungry and thirsty, help us." But there is no answer. Moses tells Zipporah, "They no longer speaks to me." Zipporah says, "No, they are testing you." That night, God appears in Moses' dream and says, "Lead them." The next day, Moses tells Aaron, "We are going south." Aaron protests, "But Canaan is in north." Moses insists, "I know, but we will go south to the Midian, where God first spoke to me on the mountain." The Israelis complain of hunger. The next morning, they wake to find food sent by the God. They gather food for 5 days, and on the sixth day, they gather enough to rest on the seventh. This marked the beginning of a holy day, a day to remember God's blessings. The Sabbath begins a new tradition in Israeli's culture. Later, the Amalekites attack, taking women and children as captives. Moses orders an ambush at night and they rescue their people. They continue their journey and finally reach the Midian, where Moses reunites with Jethro, who guides him. Moses ascends Mount Sinai to speak with God. A thick cloud covers the mountain, thunder roars and lightning flashes. The mountain shakes. Moses cries out, "Where are you? I have come this far to find you. Speak to me, my God." God answers, "I carried you on eagle's wing and brought you to me. If you obey my voice and keep my covenant, you shall be a kingdom of priests and a holy nation." Moses received the 10 Commandments, giving the Israelis law to live by. You should not make any graven images. You should not have any another God before me. You should not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain. You shall not covet. Remember the Sabbath day and keep it holy. Honor your father and mother. You should not commit adultery. You shall not bear false witness. You shall not covet your neighbor's house or anything that is your neighbor's. You shall not commit murder. For 40 years, Moses leads them to the promised land, but he himself does not enter. Moses, the servant of God, breathes his last in Moab. Since then, no prophet like Moses has risen in Israel.